I'll move on to some questions about personal discipline. Could you share some pointers, perhaps from your own life, when you were younger or even now, as far as daily schedule, disciplines that you used, that God used in your life to help you grow spiritually, whether it's prayer, Bible reading, other books you read?
Yeah, it was easier for me to schedule my life when I was single. Once I got married, I had to make time for my wife. And once I had children, I had to make time for them as well. So everything sort of changes when you get married and when you have children, and if you have a schedule of work. In my case, my work was I had to write articles for the church, and I had to travel to different churches to preach, and that was my work. So I had to adjust my schedule accordingly. So it was not a fixed thing. But the basic discipline, I say, is in relation to sin. We must learn to discipline our way of thinking and say, Lord, to turn our eyes away when we are tempted to lust. And was Jesus tempted to lust? Yes, he was tempted in every point as we are. And he, like a man, he turned his head away. He would didn't sin even once. In thought, word, deed, attitude, motive, in no way did he sin. He resisted sin externally and also in attitudes and motives and thoughts. So discipline is something which we must begin primarily in the area of sin, that I obey what God says to me. And the discipline in relation to money as well. You know, the Bible speaks a lot about money. Jesus spoke a lot about money. So many times. Somebody's told me that 1 in every 6 verses, almost an average, he spoke about money. So the way we handle money is very, very important. Jesus said, if you're not faithful with money, who will give to you the true riches? If you read that verse, let me show it to you. I'm talking about discipline. Luke chapter 16. And verse 11. If you have not been faithful in the use of money, how will you ever get spiritual riches? I read that as a young man. And I said, Lord, I'm 19, 20 years old. I don't want to end my life in the same spiritual level I am today. By the time I end my earthly life, I must be a very spiritually rich man. How can I do that? The Lord said to me when I was a young person, and I was earning a very high salary as a naval officer in the Indian Navy. Very high salary. I started earning when I was 18 and a half. I became a commissioned officer in the Indian Navy at the age of 19 and a half. And all the years I worked, I earned a very high salary. I mean, I earned so much that I could give 50% of it to God's work. But I disciplined myself never to spend unnecessarily on myself. I give to the Lord and buy Bibles for poor people, help the poor, but on myself, very little, minimum. I didn't take any risks or anything, but I was careful in the clothes I bought, minimum necessary, the food I ate. And every morning, as soon as I got up, this is my younger days. I mean, everything changes after you get married. I would get up in the morning and I would kneel down by my bed because I was all alone and I was in a room by myself. It was very easy. It's difficult if you're with other people or once you're married and all things change. I would kneel down by my bed, pray. First thing I did when I got up in the morning, go and sit at the table, take my Bible and take my notebook and study systematically through the Bible. And then go to my work and come back at night and again study the Bible, kneel down and pray. That's how I spent the first 7 years of my Christian life, and all the years I was in the Navy. And my Bible, my first Bible, is full of written notes. So many pages, you can hardly read what's printed there. So many things that I studied, and I really wanted to know the scriptures. And my preaching ministry is based on those first 7 years when I solidly did not waste time but studied the scriptures. I would have a pocket New Testament with me, If I'm traveling in a train or in a bus, standing at a bus stand, I would open my Bible and New Testament, pocket New Testament, and read it. That's how I came to know the scriptures. That's how I came to know the references. And those are the primary things about discipline in Bible study, discipline in the use of money, and discipline in my personal life that, to avoid sin. I didn't do it all perfectly. No, not at all. Far from perfect. But I struggled. And I'm not saying I lived like a Spartan. I was perfectly okay to indulge a few luxuries so long as you didn't waste money. I find it's very important to teach our children these values. I've seen a lot of parents who've got rich parents who give their children everything they want and ruin them. And those children become useless to God and useless to man. No, we don't want to do that. It's better to be a little strict. And so those are the areas where I discipline in the area of time, discipline in the area of money, and discipline in the area of Bible study, discipline in the area of expenses. And also, I tried my best to, when I visited homes as a single man, I'd be alone. As long as they welcomed me, I would go, but I would make sure that I don't take advantage of people. That if I visited a home and they provided a meal or did something for me, I would try to do something for them in return. Get them a gift because I could afford it. Always, I don't want anybody to make me in debt to them. I want to do something in return. That is the type of discipline I try to follow myself. Now, in hearing that, you'll think I lived a perfect life. Completely wrong. It was imperfect. This is an overall view, but it was all true. It's like learning to walk. If I say I can walk perfectly today, I didn't start walking from the age of 1 month. I stumbled and fell and stumbled and fell and stumbled and fell and gradually learned to walk, gradually learned to run. When I first learned to ride my bicycle, I fell down many times. I learned. When I learned to ride a scooter, I had many tosses in the beginning, then I learned. So even this, it was by falling down, getting up, falling down, getting up. Finally, I learned. But that's a brief description of my disciplines in my life.